Life is a winding road, no telling where it goes. Driving through days and nights, won't stop for traffic lights. And I really wanna know if I will ever figure out where the road goes.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Faith and Flour. This is Robin. As you know, I took a break recently from YouTube to travel with my family. We went up to Colorado, and in today's video, I'm going to show you a few more highlights of our trip and wrap that up, but also show you some homemaking on the road. So home away from home, cooking, cleaning, and laundry. So if you're interested in that, make sure you watch till the end. In my last video, I showed you some of the highlights of the early part of our trip, winding up in Ouray, and I said it completely wrong in the video, so forgive me and thank you for letting me know the right way. But we used Durango as our base, and so in the evenings, we would sometimes do something like explore this bike path that runs through town. It's really gorgeous, and we loved having that as sort of our home while we explored the surrounding areas. And we also took an entire day to visit Mesa Verde, which is about an hour from Durango. My favorite part of this park was observing the cave dwellings. They were fascinating, and that's probably what Mesa Verde is most famous for, so I'm definitely going to show you some of those. We also saw the ruins of pueblos, which were early dwellings, and of course the scenery was amazing. Because we had our dog Austin with us, we couldn't participate in any of the hikes that will take you very close to some of these cave dwellings, but we were able to get a really nice view regardless, and we totally enjoyed our day there. We hiked a lot all throughout the park, and we stumbled upon some wildlife, but fortunately this was a gopher snake, which is completely harmless. We also saw some of the wild horses that live in the park, but they're very elusive and I wasn't able to capture any on film. After that, we left Durango, and our next home base was Del Norte. This campsite was so lovely. It was quiet and wooded, and we were right next to this beautiful stream where we could use our paddleboard, and we were only about an hour away from Great Sand Dunes National Park, where we spent a morning exploring. Because Austin was coming with us, we wanted to make sure that we got there very early in the day so the sand was nice and cool and it would be comfortable on his paws. But I have to say, I don't think this was his favorite spot because the sand is probably a little bit abrasive, and climbing these dunes is a major workout. At first, I really wanted to make it all the way to the top, but we were exhausted about halfway up, so we stopped for a rest and watched everybody use boards to either sort of snowboard down the hill or sled. It was so much fun to watch. I think Austin enjoyed it as much as we did. The views were great up here, and it was nice to pick a spot like this to just sit and enjoy. When the wind kicked up, it was fierce, and you felt sandblasted with all of the sand that was blowing around, but it didn't spoil the amazing view of the mountains, and it was just so amazing to see so much sand nowhere near the beach. Back at our campsite, we enjoyed the most gorgeous sunset, a campfire, and we just rested up for the next leg of our trip. The next place we really wanted to visit was Royal Gorge, so we got on the road again to get a little bit closer. Again, we had a really nice campsite where we were a little outside of the fray and we could enjoy this gorgeous river that ran along the road and the mountains that surrounded everything. This site felt the most remote because we didn't have any Wi-Fi at this campsite or cell service either, so it was a real break. When we arrived, we got some rain, and we were so fortunate on this trip. We only had a couple of afternoons of rain, so we got out a puzzle and worked on that, and then I started preparing dinner. And I was going to show you guys this because a lot of you had questions about how to prepare food on the road, and so I planned ahead a little bit, and I had made beef barbacoa, which is just sort of like a pot roast with some Mexican spices, and I froze it and brought it along on the trip. And then on the side, I discovered these chopped salads that are really amazing. Normally I don't go for the bag salads and things like that. In the past when I've tried them, they just didn't seem all that fresh, and of course they're more expensive when you do it this way, but you can't beat it for convenience, and all of the ones that we had on the trip were super fresh and delicious. And this one was called Sunflower Crunch, and it had the sunflower seeds, some bacon bits, and dressing, separate that you could add in so everything stayed fresh and crunchy. All I had to do was add all of the ingredients and toss. I also had a little bit of feta cheese that we had along, so I added that too, and it was so good and went really well with the beef barbacoa tacos that I was making. Peyton and I really love corn tortillas, and of course those are gluten-free, so I fix those just like I do at home. And so I have a gas stove on our Airstream, so I just fired it up same as at home and toasted them up. I love making corn tortillas like this. If you've never tried it, you really should. It gives them such a depth of flavor and a much better texture in my opinion. All that was left to do was to warm up the meat in the microwave and to prepare a few toppings for our tacos. We did have a few meals at restaurants where they had some outdoor seating so that we could take Austin along, but for the most part we ate in our camper, and that's one of the things that I love about RVing is that I can make most of our meals. I like to cook, I really don't mind it, and it's so much easier when you have someone with a special diet like our son who needs to eat gluten-free. And of course, cooking yourself saves a ton of money and makes the vacation so much more affordable. this was such a simple dinner. All I had to do was assemble everything. You saw how easy it was to make the salad, so dinner is ready in no time. And I wanted to do it this way because we were just packing our days with activities, and the last thing I wanted to do was spend a ton of time on meal prep when we got back. I just wanted to relax and hang out by the campfire with everyone else. So I think that if I were on a longer trip and we were a little more leisurely with everything, I could easily prepare almost anything that I make at home here in the Airstream. But this is a great tip if you are wanting quick and easy meals, but you want something home cooked. If you can sort of prepare the protein or the meat at home, it really lessens all of the time that you need to prepare things. And so we had several meals like this on our trip, and it was really enjoyable. After dinner, cleanup is pretty much the same as at home, except of course we don't have a dishwasher here, but it's not that hard to do, and Patrick and I took turns doing dishes. On drive days, I tried to take care of things because driving can be exhausting, and I wanted to give him a break, but lots of time Patrick would give me a break and do the dishes, so we really shared these responsibilities when we were on vacation, and it was fun for everyone. That night we decided to complete the puzzle and we stayed up late getting it done, but we really enjoyed it and we're so proud of ourselves. This puzzle was very challenging to say the least, so it was really satisfying when we conquered it. Our next visit was to Royal Gorge, and that's home of America's highest suspension bridge. Construction on the bridge started in 1929 and it only took 7 months to complete. It stands 956 feet above the Arkansas River, and you can see the train next to the river down below. If you are wary of heights, this will definitely test your resolve, but it did feel safe and secure despite some large gaps, I would say, between some of the boards that gave you a view below that was rather breathtaking. I had a little trouble filming from up here because I am not a big fan of heights, but I am a big fan of these gorgeous views, and I'm so glad that we had this experience. If crossing the bridge doesn't give you a rush, you can take the zip line, which runs right next to the bridge, or you can take a gondola, which I preferred. We enjoyed a nice lunch on the outdoor patio, and then we got back in the truck and headed for Pikes Peak. Pikes Peak stands at 14,115 feet above sea level, and this was the highest point of our vacation. It was gorgeous up here. The views are just unbelievable, and I don't think the camera does them justice. We drove to the peak on a highway that definitely rivals the $1 million highway that I showed you in my last video, but I spared you some of the sped up footage so that you wouldn't get vertigo this go round. But the other way to the top is by this cog rail system. This looks like something straight out of Switzerland, and we loved seeing this, and this is the way I would definitely do it next time. On our way down from the peak, we spotted some mountain goats crossing the road, and it was just so neat to see them. I think they would be so hard to spot because, as you'll see, they really blend into the rocks on the side, and I think we would pass them by if they hadn't been in the middle of the road. speed that we took this highway. It was a little scary, I'm not gonna lie. The views were amazing, but as you can see, there are steep drop-offs, no guardrails in certain areas, and loads of hairpin turns. They even have a checkpoint before you get to the bottom to make sure that your brakes haven't overheated. We passed with no problem, and I'm really glad that Patrick's such a great driver and that he's had so much experience driving in Switzerland under similar circumstances. Before we left to head back to Texas, we spent the morning enjoying this beautiful river that ran right next to our campsite. This is the Arkansas River, the same one that runs under the Royal Gorge Bridge. There were fly fishermen and a little suspension bridge that we had fun crossing here too. Had to break up our trip and stop a couple of times before we got back to Austin, but this gave me some time to get some laundry done. And I found doing laundry while we are traveling not to be a very big deal at all. It's really easy. Usually there are great facilities at the campgrounds where we stay. They have multiple washers and dryers, and I guess I got lucky with timing because most of the time, and I just did laundry twice while we were away, I had the place to myself so I could do multiple loads at once and get it done quickly and then put that behind me, and we were able to return home with a lot more clean clothes than dirty, which really helped out. And I have all of my supplies together in a basket. I've got laundry pods, some dryer sheets, and of course stain remover, and a bag full of quarters so that I'm all prepared. Both of the places where I did laundry were very clean, and they give you lots of space like this folding table to get all of the folding done. So it was not hard. In fact, it probably took less time than at home where I can only do one load at a time. While I was finishing up with the laundry, Patrick was outside with Austin, giving him a good walk around the park and letting him enjoy the dog run and having fun with some of the other dogs. And that is a little glimpse into homemaking on the road, at least how I handled it on our trip. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, be sure to give me a thumbs up. And if you're new here, make sure that you subscribe before you leave. We would love to have you join our Faith and Flour community. I've got lots of fun content planned for this fall, so make sure that you activate the bell icon so that you get notified every time I upload a new video. Thank you so much for spending your time with me here today. I really look forward to talking with you in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Until then, have a wonderful week.